YouTube and Twitch friends, hello.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Sabu, great timing there. Let's go. Oh my god, we're back. Welcome everybody to the sprint race. No, it's not the sprint race, it's the freaking Grand Prix. I've lost some lights somewhere. We'll have to make do with that. I've accidentally unplugged my my fill light. Christ. How's everybody doing today? Are you guys excited for this race? I feel like it might have been slightly spoiled by the sprint race yesterday, but you know what? We're gonna do our best to not be too bummed out about that. And we'll get straight into it. So what we're going to do, we've got 30 minutes until the race starts, but what I wanted to do is go back through the sprint race and talk about the build-up through the weekend and talk about what we might be able to expect from the Grand Prix today. So I think you guys will come in, anybody that's here, I think you guys will be well prepared. I won't spoil too much for you. I might spoil a little bit, honestly, but we'll see. Swan, dude, thank you for the tier 1 for 4 months. And PC Failed, thank you for the Prime sub over on Twitch, man. You guys are awesome. Lots of new faces in the chat. Welcome to the stream. So, if anybody's new to the stream, my name's Blake. I used to be a Formula 1 performance engineer at Red Bull and Force India. I did quite a bit of trackside performance engineering, simulator performance engineering, car development, tools development, correlation, modeling. I've done a lot of cool stuff, so all of that has given me a lot of interesting insight and context to help, hopefully, try to explain and make Formula 1 data and everything that's happening in the race easier to understand for you guys. So, let's, where should we start? I think we should start the sprint. JM, first time as an engineer, not F1. It's awesome to hear perspective. Dude, thank you, man. Honestly. Apparently, I follow you and I don't watch F1. We'll start watching F1 today. Making data sexy? Exactly. Yeah. I agree with Trust Ninja. The sprint qualifying and regular qualifying completely throws me off. So we're going to have to go back through everything. EC over on Twitch. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Lots of new faces. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the data, and I'll take you through my little story. So let's go back to the sprint race and go through the talking points from yesterday. And I think the sprint race gave us a little preview, but there's a catch. There is absolutely a catch, which means we could see something unfold differently. Remind me to come back to that, all right? To me, the sprint race was somewhat unexpected. I did not expect Mercedes to perform that poorly. I know that they on single lap pace they weren't particularly fantastic, but usually Mercedes are not terrible on tires. They're definitely rarely the worst on tires, and Mercedes arguably were some of the worst on tires yesterday. So we'll look into that. Verstappen led Norris. After the race start, Norris really couldn't attack Verstappen at all. Honestly, it was no chance. Let's go look at the old race trace real quick. Dude, Hazmat, thank you for the Prime sub, man. I really appreciate that. So here's the race trace. Here's the race trace, and this basically, on any given lap, this gives you an idea of the gaps between the drivers. So here's the end of lap 1, and here's the race finish. Verstappen to Norris was about, what is that, 4 seconds? Okay. Norris back to Perez, nearly 10 seconds, and then look at this back to Russell. So what we can look at this is kind of get a rough idea of, you know, who was holding who up. Arguably, you would say here Russell might have been holding Norris up a little bit, Norris holding Perez up, but I mean Russell just falling backwards like a stone. At the end of the race, though, look at this. Look how much pace Hamilton drops off. And honestly, Hamilton, in terms of tire damage, Hamilton was holding up Perez for a little bit, fending him off. And then Hamilton was in clean air for the most part. Yes, he was having to push, but Russell was outpacing him. And then Russell did better off on his tires than Lewis did. And that's a really, I don't think that's a Lewis thing. I'm really not sure. So that was pretty interesting. And I think that has some interesting context. We'll keep that Let's lock that idea in. In terms of outright pace, just looking at these gaps, you would suggest that Ferrari were slower than Mercedes by far. The only reason Leclerc got past Hamilton was Hamilton dropped off. Tsunoda very strong. Tsunoda spent the beginning of the race behind Leclerc, or most of the race behind Leclerc, and finally got through Russell at the end. So Tsunoda didn't really have the pace to come through the Ferrari, but if the Ferrari's third, fourth best, I think we could potentially see some more points for the AlphaTauri today. Dude, HB Filmmaker, dude, thank you so much for the tier 3 subscription on Twitch. You absolute mad one. Dude, thank you so much. Seriously, dude. Olivier asks, any idea about the differences between Piastri and Norris? So let's do this. Let's go find Piastri and Norris. Do I have them both on one trace? No, I don't. No, I don't have Piastri and Norris on the same one other than the big plot, so let's go back to this one. And if anybody's wondering where I get all this stuff, I publish all this stuff on buymeacoffee.com. Would love the insight, man. Dude, seriously, I appreciate that a lot, man. Genuinely, thank you, bro. So let's look at this. I mean, here's Norris matching pace with the race leader, A. And here's Piastri in the gaggle of cars behind Ricciardo, spending a lot of time either putting pressure on Ricciardo or being, once he gets past Ricciardo, then Ricciardo's putting pressure on him. And he really doesn't make any progress. So one of two things. Either Piastri had damage earlier in the race, or as a function of spending so much tire energy and effort trying to stay ahead or attack, he really couldn't do what Norris could do. Norris was basically in clean air, pushing flat out, focusing on saving the tires, going as fast as he could, trying to make these used softs last. Everybody, with the exception of Bottas, Zhou, Ricciardo, and Tsunoda, they fit a new tire. Everybody else on the used softs, most of those people were on 3-lap old softs, so outlap, fast lap, in lap. Not a huge difference at all. Hulkenberg and Magnussen and Sargent on the medium, not particularly interesting at all. Stevie GB's and another person in the Aruata asks, why are the Red Bulls so fast, and then how can they keep so much pace? Red Bull so far this season has been a car that's shown that it can do literally everything. It's got low drag, it's got very reasonable downforce in most of the places. It's a very stable car. It allows the drivers to go fast outright, A, and then B, allows them to look after the tires. And here's another interesting thing. When we talk about the sprint race, I don't think it was particularly clear, but that sprint race, they were saving tires massively through that entire sprint race. And for me, that wasn't exactly clear through the sprint race without the data, but when you go back and look at this, here's the lap times from Verstappen, Norris, Perez, and Russell. Everybody's fastest lap was lap 2. Let's just do a quick bit of math real quick. We've got what is it? 105 divided 71. Right, 1.5 kilos per lap. 1.5 kilos per lap times 24 laps times 0.3 per lap. They should have been going 1 second slower at the start of the race from fuel alone. But flat out, Russell was the fastest car on the very first lap of the race by a couple tenths over Verstappen. Verstappen tried it in the second lap. And then after that, immediately, literally 5 to 6 tenths of a second, everyone managing their tires to the end of the race. Maybe at the end of the race, Norris was a little bit inconsistent with lap times. Verstappen, metronomic, very consistent with his lap times throughout the race and looking after his tires quite well. Perez, a little bit of up and down, but yeah. Adrian, it's not all Adrian. I know Adrian is a legend, but there are way too many people to credit only Adrian with that. Turbo, dude, thank you so much for the super chat, man. The $10 super chat. Thank you so much for moving these to YouTube. That being said, I still hate the sprint format. I'm probably the old balls that love the free practice, and I hate this points to P10. You know what? I'm not a big fan of the sprints. I've made myself very clear about the sprint races, and yeah, I don't think they add much value. I mean, if you're at the track, maybe a couple more race sessions, but honestly, most of the people at the track, from my opinion, from what I've seen, people at the track just like seeing cars on the track, especially F1 tracks. So let's talk about that. There's two questions I want to come back to. What can teams change? And what's the strategy? Let's get through the sprint though, because I think the sprint will tell us a lot of really interesting stuff about the cars. Norris and Verstappen, I think, is a very interesting take from yesterday. And I've done something a little bit new where I look at, instead of just looking at one lap of telemetry, I'm averaging 5-6 laps to look at overall what the performance profile of the cars look like. If we look at Norris versus Verstappen, this is pretty interesting. This is really interesting. So my camera's covering up a little bit this here, but it's fine. Norris and Verstappen in qualifying had similar top speed. So Norris being 2 to 4 seconds behind Verstappen. This is laps 10 to 15, by the way. So if we look at this, I've taken these laps here, 10 to 15, and I've averaged them to show you where they're faster. Norris is getting at, what's this gap between them? The gap here is about 1.5 seconds at the part of the race. So at 1.5 seconds, Norris will be getting a bit of a tow. You can see he's about 8 kilometers an hour faster on the straights. So if we look through this lap, Verstappen gains on the brakes into turn 1 over those 5 laps. Norris gains that time back on the straight. They're about the same pace through turn 4, but you can see here Verstappen better on traction in both of these places, earlier on throttle. Now, through turn 6 and 7, GP and Max talked about this. Look how much faster Lando is through turn 6, 7. Lando gains back 0.2 of a second through 6 into 7, and then a little bit more into 8. But from the apex and exit of turn 8 all the way down to the exit of turn 11, Max gains back all of that time. So really, they were trading lap time. Verstappen good on the brakes. Verstappen very strong on the low speed. Norris gaining time on the straight line just because he was so close to him. Otherwise, I think they'd be about the same top speed. But the McLaren has excellent performance in the high speed, and I think Max was at this point saving tires. I think towards the end of the race Max was pushing a little bit more here, but yeah, so I think that's that. And then if we look at some of the other, Verstappen, Perez was just slower through turn 6 to turn 10, nothing crazy. Russell, the same story. Max was just faster than everybody turn 8 to turn 10. That was the big standout. Now there's a couple of things to talk about. Yesterday, Ferrari were lifting because of engine overheating. I think it was engine or brakes, but I think I've heard other people talking about the Mercedes having engine issues. So the interesting thing is, let's go back to that tweet that I put out earlier. And if you're not following me on Twitter, I do share some useful stuff every now and then. Pretty often. I think I share some pretty useful stuff often. And by the way, if you like that report, if you're in this Twitch stream, type !data, and if you're on YouTube, just go to break.com, break with 3 R's, and that's the Buy Me a Coffee. I publish those reports every week that go straight to your inbox, or you can go on the Buy Me a Coffee website and check them out. So definitely pretty good. And if you're torn, like, do I do a super chat or do I want to gift a sub on Twitch? Don't do either of those. If instead, go subscribe to the Buy Me a Coffee if that's the kind of stuff that you want to learn more about. You'll basically learn quite a bit. I think there's a lot of good value in that, and you'll know more than all your mates about F1. So let's talk about the change of climatic conditions. During qualifying, there's a race control message that popped up on the screen that says change of climatic conditions. The change of climatic conditions occurs basically when the weather changes in a session, like if it becomes wet, if the ambient temperature drops more than I believe it's absolutely more than 10 degrees, they will declare a change in climatic conditions. So what that does is it allows the teams to make changing to blanking on their radiators, cooling configurations. So you could see headrest covers, you could see engine cover changes to change the cooling, and you can also change brake cooling. Sorry, that's the other thing. And interestingly, brake cooling has a very interesting impact on tire temperature. So there's lots of tricks you can play, and I'm not super familiar with the 2022 brake duct configurations, but from reading the regs, there's an inlet duct and an outlet duct on the brake drum. So you have cooling air in and hot air out, and depending on how you route that, you can increase the temperature output from the brakes into your wheels, which can change your heating. So question marks. I don't think Mercedes have done this, but like, let's say that Mercedes put a little bit too much rim heating in order to get the tires in the window, which I don't think is. It was super hot the other day, and the change of Climatic, if it's announced Friday, from that point, like in qualifying, from that point forward, you can change whatever cooling stuff you want. So people could have changed it for the sprint and tried something maybe. I don't think that's what they did, but I think that's totally possible. I just saw a message. Are we going to watch the race? Yes, the race will start in 15 minutes. But until the race starts, what I would like to do is talk about a lot of the stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else on any of the other broadcasts. Look at some of the data, talk about everything else, and answer any questions, especially the technical stuff for you guys about what's happening. So, HB Filmmaker says, is the Mercedes loose rear end problems related to their cockpit position? I don't think so. The cockpit position is more of a driver visibility and situation thing. In Formula One, the weight distribution is fixed between, I believe, 44.5 and 45.5. So 1% weight distribution is not a huge change. You know, maybe if they were super forward, they would be more stable or more understeer. So I think that's the problem, is their cockpit is forward and it feels awkward for the drivers. I think a lot of them talked about that. But yeah, if you've got 0.5% or 1%, let's say that everybody's 40. Let's say that everybody is 45.5. All the teams are 45.5 and they're locked there. They can't change the weight distribution. And you made your car 44.5, so more rearwards. I don't think. Like, obviously, you might have on average more rear energy than everybody else as a default, but I don't think that's the only factor, if that makes sense. I think it's not first order. John Luca, what's going on, man? Good to see you, brother, on the YouTube gang. I need to come see you guys next week. I might come see you with Tom, by the way. I don't have a broken mic, do I? I mean, no. The weight distribution is a fundamental balance parameter, but I don't think they're in a wildly different window than other teams. I could be wrong, because I do not know. Teams don't tend to talk about, oh, hey guys, we don't have any weight distribution ballast, because the ability to change your weight distribution depends on how heavy your car is. If your car is like 5 kilos under the minimum weight, you can add ballast to the front or rear to shift that around as you see fit. But yeah, we've got 13 minutes before the race starts. I've gone through, what have we gone through? We've gone through the sprint race for the most part. We've gone through the change in climatic conditions. And we need to now talk about some race predictions and tire allocation. And also, if you guys are on Twitch, the first lap outcome prediction is available. So, do you think we're going to have some shenanigans on lap 1? That means red flag, safety car, virtual safety car. Yellow flags don't count, but red flag, safety car, virtual safety car, or so on. Or a huge shunt, whatever. Or, yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. Does that sound good? I'm just setting up my multi-viewer right now. AC Turnbull, what's going on, man? iRacing homie. Hoping for shenanigans. Does Toro Rosso also run air-to-air intercoolers like Red Bull? I prefer air-to-air over air-to-water. The only air-to-water setup I own is for blowers. I am not a... Dude, thank you. Also, dude, Turbo, seriously, thank you for the $10 super chat. But I am not an engine systems guy. I need to talk to somebody... Maybe buy somebody a coffee one day and kind of get a rundown on the engine systems and like what are the first order factors, because Mercedes were rumored to have those interesting, like, what do they call them, air to water coolers that were super interesting. F1 TV did a tech talk about that. Yeah. First few turns could be getting frisky. If I had to rate the sprint race yesterday, as far as a sprint race goes, that was an 8 or a 9 sprint race. But just because Interlagos or Brazil has a good sprint race does not make sprint races any more appealing to me personally. You're all allowed to think whatever you want about sprint races, but I don't like them. Let's talk about the race and make a couple of predictions. We've got 10 minutes until the race starts. I need to set up my multi-viewer scenes. And if you're not using multi-viewer for F1 to watch Formula 1, you're missing out. You use F1 TV Pro and multi-viewer for F1. Boom. Yesterday's sprint race, spectacular, Ghost. Yeah, definitely. Grim, you went out with your dog and said, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, man. We obviously bet on shenanigans with the pretext that every driver is safe and unharmed. Absolutely. There is no ill wishes there. So let's talk about the grid. We've got... I'll just show you guys the grid since I've got it up on my screen. Boom. I know that the TV is going to go through the grid shortly. We got Max, Leclerc, Stroll, Alonso, Hamilton, Norris, Sainz, Russell, Perez, Piastri, Hulkenberg. And like, honestly, outside of the top 10, the only people I've got my eyes on outside of the top 10 are the Toro Rossos. Yuki could be pretty scrappy, and I think he will have a pace advantage over the cars ahead of him. Same with Daniel. I think they will be fighting. Haas, probably backwards. Piastri, if he doesn't do that thing where he gets stuck up with a car and burn up the tires, which is what I'm speculating he ends up doing often, I could be completely wrong, but that's what it looks like. I think Piastri could come through and make an impact. P1, P2, I think Leclerc. Now, here's the thing. Max is going to run away with this, right? I think, unless he doesn't get a good start, I think Max is probably going to get away with this, running away. I think Leclerc might be able to mount a challenge with a slightly better or similar top speed for as soon as we get DRS, but then he's going to burn up. I do not see Stroll and Alonso in the Aston Martin being particularly effective at putting any pressure on Leclerc. That being said, I think that the Astons will not put pressure on the front runners because Lewis and Lando will be putting pressure on them to overtake. Does that make sense? So I don't think the Astons are a threat to P1 and P2 unless something happens on the race start. But Hamilton and Norris will be putting pressure on them, as well Russell. Now, the only other speculations I've got is that hopefully Piastri can come through. I think Perez should have no problem with Sainz. And if we see the Mercedes of yesterday, I think both Lewis and George will be in trouble. In terms of tire strategy for the race, let's see what everybody's got left. And this graphic here is available on Pirelli's Twitter. They always post this, so follow Pirelli Sport to stay in touch with their their suggestions for races or for race strategies and tires. So everybody's got a new hard. I don't see people using the hard. We've got the same tires we had last year. None of the hards were any good. Nobody even ran a hard in last year's race. I don't think it's ideal. I think we will see most people doing 2 mediums or 2 soft. We've got a 71 lap race. Yesterday, we did 24 laps on a soft with quite a bit of management. So you could see medium soft medium race or medium medium soft race. I haven't had to think about the strategy and safety car implications on going medium medium soft, but I think you will definitely, yeah. But then again, maybe they go soft medium medium because I don't know. Look, we've got Verstappen, Leclerc, Ocon, Gasly, Norris. They've all got a softie that's new. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Max start on a soft, but also considering the run down to turn 1 from pole isn't that long, I don't know if there's a huge disadvantage to starting on the medium and having that flexibility because I don't think that, yeah, maybe like at the race start, Leclerc could challenge him, but I don't see I feel like Max basically has a buffer from Lando and the Mercedes via the Aston Martins, if that makes sense. I don't think the hard is going to work today. I don't think the hard's the one. Starting on the softs just risks you having to pit into traffic, doesn't it? Potentially, yeah. The medium definitely. That's a really good point. The medium will give you a bit of strength. Now, Hamilton's not going to do the one stopper. Russell's going to try and do the odd thing and do the one stopper. But considering how much management they have yesterday, I really think they could be looking at, I don't think the one stop is the way. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to open up multi-viewer and get ready for the race. And also, I need to change something. Nobody told me yesterday that my multi-viewer thing was wrong. So I've lost the flag. 2022 Brazil GP. Yesterday, it had freaking Mexico GP. Nobody told me. Weather forecast. Oh, Tuman, you told me? I missed it, bro. I appreciate it. Don't worry, I got you. You can tell me now. I appreciate that, man. You can't open multiviewer? Break your multiviewer thing is wrong? Dude, thank you so much. It's like you were communicating with me telepathically since you're such a wonderful human being that I felt you in my spirit. And I changed my multiviewer title. Right. So here's my I can't show you my multi-viewer layout, obviously, because I will get I'll get done. My latency, set your latency latency today, ladies and gentlemen, to 32,000 milliseconds, or 32 seconds. 32 seconds will have you in sync with me. What do we got? Mile High Sim Guy. What's going on, man? Dude, thank you for the Prime for freaking 2 months, bro. Em, could you pin that message? Multi-viewer sync to 32,000 ms. So, Park Ferme, what can you change? Nothing. Unless we get a change in climatic conditions, and then you can change your cooling configuration, which is what I reckon quite a few people might be doing today, which includes engine cooling. Ferrari looked to be marginal on engine cooling yesterday, and it also could be brake cooling. And there could be the chance, if you change your brake cooling, to change and have an impact on your tire temperatures. You can also change wing angle and tire pressures. That is correct. For the most part, most people will be running minimum tire pressures for the most part. And then, other than that, yeah, wing angles open. And then any like brake balance or differential settings or engine braking settings or gear shift sync settings that you have and you're programmed into your car that are variables, you can change those, but you can't reprogram new settings into the computer, if that makes sense. Message pinned and Miss Hellcat, thank you so much. I reckon Merc got it wrong for the weather and ran too much downforce. That's an interesting point, Andy, but I don't think anybody was predicting a rainy Sunday. I could have missed that completely, but I don't think you would make a risk for that. The weather, I believe, was forecast for Friday. So, yeah. What's the most surprising correlation between two telemetry sources? Can you give me an example of what, like an example you're thinking of might be? I'm not. Maybe that question's really easy and I'm just being an idiot. Why are the Alpha Tauri so far back? They did not do a very good job on Friday. I would have enjoyed it. Like, honestly, I love a rainy Interlagos. That's the thing, Adam. That's a really good point. So Adam's hitting on the point that I think a lot of people get caught up on, to say if they had too much downforce, they would have better tire wear. But that's, or degradation, for example, or less performance loss every lap. That's not the case at all. High speed correlates with low lap. Okay, so an interesting thing. I get what you're saying. That's a really like super broad question. If you go faster in a high speed corner, like let's say you go 10 kilometers an hour or 10 miles an hour faster in a high speed corner, for a given corner, you know, if you go 10 kilometers an hour or 10 miles an hour faster through a low speed corner, you'll gain like 3 to 4 times as much lap time. You know, a lot of people think, oh, the lap time's in the high speed. No, it's not. You can really give up quite a bit. And that's one of the things, like, high downforce does not mean you will have low deg, because a lot of it is about balance. You know, if you have high downforce but a shitload of understeer, or high downforce and you have a really pointy car, a lot of front end, or you can't keep the rear from sliding, that will hurt you more than a low downforce setup where the balance is good. So looking at tires, very interesting starting tire setup. We've got Verstappen, Alonso, Hamilton, Norris, Sainz, Russell, Perez. Basically, everybody's on softs except for Sargent. New softs are Leclerc in P2, Hulkenberg and Magnussen in 11-12, Ricardo, Bottas, 17-18, and Zhou on a new soft. So pretty much everybody's softs are 2 or 3 laps old, so it's usually an out lap or an in lap. Stroll's on new softs. Apologies, I missed that. Stroll and Leclerc on new softs. Thermal F, thank you for the Prime sub, man. I appreciate that, dude. Seriously. Holy crap. We're back to 280 subs on Twitch. Holy. Dune Traveler, yeah, that's a video I'm really looking forward to making. I want to make a video that talks about how is a driver or car, what's good on tires, what is bad on tires, and how do you achieve that with setup and driving style. I will definitely work on that. Wiz, how you doing, man? Great, Malu, hello. How big is the difference between fresh and 3-lap old softs? I think it might not be small, but considering I think they're going to want to do at least 20 laps of the race on this soft tire, right? I reckon they will be managing these tires a little bit. Blind Monk, you need to set your latency to, or your multi-viewer in the settings to start from live, or always play from live. Pradeep, what's going on, man? Yeah, Joe, those are great questions, honestly. Alexander, welcome to the stream, man. Dude, this is gonna be a cool race. Honestly, this is gonna be such a cool race. So people are thinking, yeah, they're thinking the soft at the start of the race, you won't want to do more than 20 laps on it. I think that's about right. The medium, I'm not too sure how to feel about the medium. I don't think the medium's gonna be great. And I feel like if we see anybody on the hard, they've just literally thrown a Hail Mary. Like, what the hell? Dana, good to see you. Stroll and Alonso had a great qualifying, but that's because they were out early in a rain incoming Q3. Always get the banker in early. Don't try to be a hero, man. Verstappen, Leclerc, front row, Stroll, Alonso, second row. I think Stroll and Alonso will not have the pace. If this race goes ahead in order as it is right now, I think Stroll and Alonso are going to act more as a buffer. Oh my God! Charles Leclerc! He's off! He's in the wall! What? What the hell? Right, TV producer, give me the feed. So I'm gonna go be my own TV producer. He's pulling away. He's pulling away. The front wing is gone on Leclerc's car. The front wing is split on the front half. I'm watching on board with Leclerc. He's going through 3. He Ocon'd it. No? Is that 3? I can't tell where it's at. Oh, he lost hydraulics. So probably what happened was he was trying to downshift and the rear locked up, possibly. Or he lost steering. So he's pulled out of the race. He's lost hydraulics. So let's watch. Yeah. It looks like it locked up the rear. But like, what you see there, I don't see that losing the steering. I see that as the rear locking up, or he probably lunched the gearbox. Irish Andy, that's the first track limits. They're going to start this, and obviously, as Hulkenberg failed to do last time, he did not. They did leave a gap, so there will be no car in Leclerc's position. Unbelievable for Ferrari. Shocking. This is typical Ferrari luck, not bad luck. Good. That is not first lap shenanigans. That is pre-first lap. Max can't get a more easier start. Yeah, he's got literally... Let's watch. Right. 4 lights. 5 lights are out. Let's go. Oh, that's a huge hold. Huge hold. Dude, Norris getting an absolute banging start around the inside and a huge shunt in the background. Is that a Williams? That's a Williams and a Haas out. Norris had a banger of a start. We got first lap shenanigans. There's a tire rolling down turn 1-2. Perez getting... Is Perez getting... No, he's up 2. Perez is up 2. Right, the safety car out. Ladies and gentlemen, safety car out. Absolute frisky shenanigans. Lap 1. I'm going to be really annoying, and let's go watch Albon's on board because the producers... Woof. Wow. Wow. Albon's getting out of his car now. Albon looks okay. Right, I'm on board with Albon now. And it looks like Hulkenberg is just squeezing him to the outside wall. And then he gets tagged. But it looks like there's a Haas sandwich. So they're driving through the pit lane. That Williams is absolutely screwed. So, on the race start, Albon gets a jump on the Haas ahead of him. And it's 3-1. Yeah, so one of the Haases hits Albon. Albon spins into the other Haas. There it is. Did Albon was just driving straight? I mean, Albon is driving his right tire on the white line. Yeah. Albon's on the white line and he just gets hit in the rear right corner. So Magnussen just had his nose in that, basically. Five minutes, 2 crashes, yeah. On board with Esteban. Piastri, broken wing, out of the race. Rear wing. Piastri's rear wing is broken. Ouch. Yeah, okay. Hulkenberg smashed into the back of Piastri as well. Oh my god. Fucking chaos, man. Red flag for the cleanup? Yep. Red flagged it. So we're going to get another standing start, ladies and gentlemen. So let's talk through the race start. So Leclerc loses hydraulics, lap 0, formation lap. So Piastri could be back in. Piastri could be back in. We've got a red flag. They can fix his car. No, they're gonna be working on his car. He's not getting out of that. There's no way they're taking him out of that race. The mechanics got their toolkits out. They're getting to work. Yep. Red flag, will positions go back? That's a very interesting question. We'll wait for race control to clarify that. Leclerc's like, hey mate, can you get my car? I left a bunch of stuff in it. Oscar, you can get out? Okay. So it sounds like Oscar's car has more damage than just a rear wing. So Leclerc loses hydraulics on the formation lap. Shunts. On the race start, we've got Albon, Magnussen, whole sandwich. Okay, so Stallard says they're going to try to repair the car to Piastri. Prediction is up for the race restart shenanigans. So if you're on Twitch, get your predictions in. I am unclear on what the restart order will be, so we'll update you once race control tell us. They will probably give us through a number of restart order. Can Leclerc be fixed? If Leclerc could drive the car back, but if he's had a hydraulics loss, that's one problem. If he's had a hydraulics failure, it's very likely the gearbox is in trouble. So I don't know the extent of Leclerc's issue. Like, they didn't really give us a whole lot to work on. I mean, they're around Leclerc's car. If Leclerc can drive it back, he can get back. If you get out of the car on track, you can't rejoin. Because we've had people get out of the car before. He needs to solo it. Yeah, he for sure, one of the biggest things is Leclerc cannot strap himself back in safely. Yeah, I mean they're wheeling those Haas and Williams off the grid. I'm gonna go back and watch Kevin's point of view. I feel like Kevin's point of view is what I want to see, and I don't know why we haven't seen more of that. So, you know what I would love to do? I would love if Multiviewer had a director view, so that I could be my own race director and share the race feed that I've got with you guys. All right, so I'm on board with Kevin on the race start right now. I'm going to set the speed to half. Not much to see on K-Mag's point of view. Is it just him in the middle of everybody? Why does their camera cut out? Why is there any reason that Multiviewer couldn't implement a director view? If I could sync what I'm looking at to other people's clients that have Multiviewer logged in, that doesn't circumvent anything. F1 TV always scrubs the crashes? No. Blind Monk, what are you talking about? Yeah, Jürgen, exactly. So not anything sketchy, but like sending my playhead and view from my client to other people's clients. Can you change the setup during red flag? No, you can only replace like for like. Anyone gonna change the mediums? No, I think people will put on a different set of softs. Yeah, I think Yepa's right. I think the electrical systems and some of the like TV broadcasts and other ECUs are in the side pod there. Michael Sully, dude, thank you for the 100 bits. Shouldn't Albon be 19th? I'm not sure. So looking at the race restart from whatever chaos we saw, Bottas up 6, Tsunoda up 6, Ocon up 5, Sargent and Zhou up 5 and 7 respectively. We've lost Magnussen, Leclerc, and Albon in the shunt. Ricardo kept his nose clean, stayed off the back of everything. So that's good. Switch stream. Let's watch Hulkenberg. How did Piastri got damage from one of the Hasses flying into the back of him on the start finish line. Stroll down 2, Alonso stays still. Yeah. Was it Hulk that moved into Albon? Is it just a 3-1 thing? Here's onboard with Hulkenberg on the main feed now. Hulkenberg tried to get out of it and just touched Albon. Yep. Yeah, I don't. Ocon view is the best. Here's the Ocon view on board. Ocon's behind them. Ricardo got hit by Albon's tire? No. On board with Ricardo. Oh my god, it hit his side pod. God bless the Halo. I know everybody hated him at first, but that's good stuff. Lando with a great start, getting a little bit of a pinch, not too bad. I mean, Lando, he's straight up into P2. Great start from Lando Norris. Order for restart, P1, P4. You know what we need on multi-viewer? We need driver numbers on the name tags. We need driver numbers. Ricardo's rear wing caught the tire. Do you think it's damaged? Sergio's got a great start. Good jump on Sainz. Sainz looked like he was sleeping on the race start. Perez keeping his nose clean. Not bad. But he's struggling to get on throttle, and Russell getting ahead there at turn 3. I mean, Stroll's down 2 places. Piastri's down out, effectively, unless he can get back in. Who's the guy on the Red Bull wall that looks like you? Nobody. Colin, I don't know. If you want to see what your delay actually is, push D in your multi-viewer window, and that will show you your live latency. Your live latency should be 20 or 32 seconds. Ben, what's up, bro? You can change tires, yeah. These soft tires have only got 5 total laps on them, including the 2 laps previously. So they will be yeah. Dude, loved your interviews at Coda except for the audio, yeah. I was not prepared for those interviews with Max and Checo, so I didn't have time to set up my mics, and also with the studio, the PA mics in the hospitality suite, using 2 sets of mics to record and broadcast audio would have been awkward, so unlucky. No setup changes are allowed during a red flag. You can fix broken stuff, and you can change tires. Max taking the piss. Normal. Classic Max. You can change front wing angle, yeah, but that's not in Parc Fermé. Yeah, you can't do a setup change, but front wing angle is not part of Parc Fermé. Neither is tires or tire pressure. Did you know you'd be interviewing? I found out the night before. and I struggled to get everything set up in time, so. My heart cannot take another standing start. Well, guess what? We're getting another standing start. I am currently listening to the international feed. I haven't been on F1 Live, but Bernie's not there this weekend. Jensen's not there this weekend. Maybe I should be listening to Hinch and co. Max, but that's the thing is, like, people don't appreciate that, but Max is really nice and really fun to talk to, except when you put him in a press pit and they're just asking him the same bullshit fucking questions, he's not really going to respond too much to that. So switch stream, I'll do F1 Live. Let's check my time offset. My offset's fucked on this now. Switch stream, international. You know, I really don't like the sync feature at all. It will be a standing start, most likely. Race will restart in 9 minutes. I shouldn't have touched the sync because the sync was perfect. I will reset multiview real quick. It's gotta suck to put so much effort into a race weekend to be taken out at turn 1. Yeah. But I guess the kind of cliche saying is that's racing, isn't it? You know? All right, so international commentators, according to Grimm, international commentators mid, additional presenters I like better. F1 TV live commentators are amazing. Additional presenters are meh. Who are their additional presenters? Because I think Hinch is really good. Alex Jax is good as well. I don't listen to them enough to have a good take on it, if that makes sense. Mostly parked with a 199 super chat. Which race venues need the most security? Interlagos, usually, and Mexico. Yeah. I mean, not to be disrespectful, but this race circuit is in the middle of a very not well-off area with a lot of crime. So the reason the repairs are taking so long is they're actually having to fix the Tech Pro barriers. So Carlos saying his clutch is shit. I think there might be Tech Pro in some of this stuff. Only tire barriers here? Okay. Well, they've got to fix those. There's not, like, I don't know. I'm a little bit biased, but I think there's not very many of the analysts that do a very good job analyzing. I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm just like thinking about like discussions that add value. Unless Bernie is on there, I don't really hear much. The F1 clutch is on a paddle, and the paddle is mapped to a torque delivery target. So it's a control system on a clutch torque sensor. But like, I really don't feel like very many of the tech presenters talk about that much stuff. They'll do like, you know, a shunt analysis or a crash analysis, like who is at fault. But yeah. Anthony Webb, you should do it. I'm trying. You find yourself switching, but Grim, who do you prefer listening to? Sync numbers, it's still back to 32. I just had to reset and it's working now. But I'm really only interested. I've heard the same pundit commentary for 10 years, right? So yeah. Before anybody asks, I don't want to be a main presenter. I want to talk about tech and performance analysis and stuff, but like not very many people do performance analysis stuff. I think Rick could change his rear wing like for like if he had a broken rear wing. I just want to be that American dude. All right, what are we missing on the Gasly's engineers? So we're staying flexible in strategy, but as discussed, it's not changed from what we discussed earlier. We believe Ricciardo and Piastri will be a lap down. Oh. Interesting. That's interesting. Why does that make sense? I'm just looking through drivers' radio messages. I'm not really seeing a whole lot. So Lewis has got some feedback on his launch. He says, it was okay, Lewis, until we got to the first and second shift. I think you crept up on the throttle quite a bit in the initial phase. So if we keep steady on this one, it should be good. And we're going back to the original target. Lewis asks, what do you mean original target? So a target is clutch release position, I believe. And then they're talking about the first and second upshift. So the upshift to second gear and the upshift to third gear. What he's saying is Lewis went too heavy into the throttle. So it looks like the clutch drop, the initial launch part was good. And then Lewis went a little bit too heavy on throttle in second and third gear. Standing start confirmed. So if you wheeled your car back into the garage, it sounds like you're starting from the pit lane. Right, race start. Who are we watching? I think we're watching Russell on the race start and Max. Max will hopefully have a rear-facing camera if he gets ahead. But let's do switch stream. We're going to look at Mercedes. We're going to look at Russell on the race start. Tomo, thank you so much for the Prime sub over on Twitch, man. Nico, hi boys. Once again, being a Fry fan is painful. There's also ladies here as well. Max had a rear camera yesterday. I'll do one more camera. Perez as well. Gunther confirming nobody's even thinking about the hard tire. Right. Ricciardo in the garage and Piastri in the garage. They will take the start from the pit lane. Ricciardo, thanks boys for getting the car repaired. Joe Bishop suggests they should use the 360 camera on the front a little bit more. That would be good. I cannot wait for an F1 free race or F1 free weekend next weekend to reset. So, we should be rolling any moment now. We'll have a standing start procedure, so we'll do a formation lap from the pit lane. The cars that were in the garage being serviced will start from the end of the pit lane. The over-the-shoulder stabilized, the new stabilized over-the-shoulder camera is so good. Sal, you just opened Discord. GG. Let me just see what Max's radio message said. Norris, he's a new set, so focus on building temperature now. Eyes on the dash. Eyes on the dash means focus on your tire temperature preparation. We will restart Verstappen, Norris, Hamilton, Alonso, Stroll, Russell, Perez. I mean, Piastri's down in P16 from P10. Ouch. Perez up 2, Ocon up 5, Tsunoda up 6. Tsunoda in P10. If Tsunoda can get a clean start, I mean, we could see Tsunoda flying up in the standings. Tsunoda in the Drivers' Championship is, I wouldn't say flying up. Tsunoda is 15 points behind Albon in P13 in the Drivers. So, drivers, Norris on a new soft. Bottas, Zhou, Sargent on a new soft. Verstappen has switched to a different used soft tire. So not the same soft tire. Only Piastri on the medium from P16, which kind of makes sense from back there. Ricciardo on a used soft in the pit lane, I believe. Ah, so they are doing a formation lap, but they're starting from the pit lane. Interesting. Subtleties. Good old sporting directors making their cash right now. Aston Martins can be mugged by... I mean, now Hamilton... I think we'll see, depending on starts, I think Norris putting pressure on Verstappen. Hamilton is now in the clear because I think the Aston Martins will be a hold-up. Looking at Paul Monahan there, staring. He's like, oh my god, the cars are going to break again. I wish they would there's no way they're going to let me stream the races. What they need to do is let me help them on TV. And then you guys can all listen to me. Not that you want to listen to me, but I feel like this stream is a pretty cool place. So, safety car, Mercedes, AMG pulling up on the back. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights out. Let's look at the... Oh, a little bit of a hold. Verstappen, good. Norris does not get a great start. Hamilton going around the outside. A rear lock? Is that a rear lock? No. Front lock, he loses position. Norris comes off in P2. Alonso's done Hamilton. Stroll's gone back. Perez up to 6. Or stayed in 6th. Alonso going through on Hamilton? No way. No way. You know what? I'm an absolute fraud. The Aston Martin's being a roadblock. Now they're going to roadblock him. Let's go. Let's freaking go. Chaos. I love it. Anybody that uses corner names around Sao Paulo? No. Clean first lap, race restart, yeah. So on that restart, Hamilton dropped back, Alonso up forward, Stroll drops back, Perez hangs tight. Hard to say. Right. If you're just tuning into the stream, welcome to the Break F1 watch along stream. The best way to get the most out of the stream is to watch along with the multi-viewer for F1, sync your timing up to 28 seconds, or 32 seconds. And if you got any questions, please ask. If you're new, my name's Blake, ex-Formula 1 performance engineer, current Formula 1 content creator, and often hanging out here watching F1 qualifying and races with you guys. Let's go, Sabu. So, Norris will be in DRS now. 7/10. Russell will have DRS on Hamilton. Perez will have DRS on Russell. Stroll on them as well. So the 4th to 10th or so is pretty stacked up. Hamilton not happy. What is happening with Lewis? Maybe, okay, so Lewis is probably flat spotted fronts, and that probably will not clear up. So he's probably losing time on the brakes, and he's probably going to need some new fillings in his teeth after that. Yeah, Hamilton knew. He's like, I've got a huge front flat spot. If I try to full send into turn 4, they're going to go flat. Oh my god, that front left is a 50p piece. The flat spot, Martin asks, does the flat spot vibrate a lot for the drivers? Yeah, it will definitely. So Norris is close. Looking at the outside, not today, not right now. Turn 4, Max defending the inside, forcing him to go the long way. Going into 6-7, that's so tough. Turn 6-7 is really tough. We saw yesterday, energy clipping. Who was it? Piastri there. You can go so slow into 6-7 and not lose any time, honestly. Bono telling Hamilton, don't drop the tire management. Good comms there. So everything's kind of steadied out after the race start. Pretty steady. No position changes, really. So Hamilton's now 2.5 to Alonso. So Norris and Alonso are out of DRS now. Norris was like, we'll try it, but Norris's last lap of 16.7, Verstappen's last lap of 15.8. 9/10 off. But like, as soon as you know that the move's not happening at turn 1-2, I don't feel like you're going to push that hard through the rest of the lap because you're not getting an overtake done into 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The next shot you're going to have is getting a good lineup through the final 10, 11 down to 13 onto the main straight. When does it go from turbulent air to a slipstream? 2 seconds or more? So if you're up the gearbox, that's dirty air with a little bit of a slipstream. But through the corners, that's hurting your tires massively. Norris is holding 1.7 gap to Verstappen. Verstappen's also backed off that last lap, 16.2. Alonso's matching times of those guys ahead of him. They might be at risk of Alonso. Is it worth racing if you're a lap down? Yes, because if there's a safety car, you can get unlapped. And then you'll be back on the back properly. So they're not going to come through and unlap themselves outright. But we're on lap 10. Anything can happen right now. It's always worth racing, yeah, for sure. Unless you're risking damaging car parts like a gearbox or engine because there's an issue with them. Ocon wants to unlap himself here. Please stop, man. I'm having PTSD from that. I mean, Russell's road blocking Perez a little bit, but Russell's 5/10 on Hamilton. So Ricciardo and Piastri are a lap down because they pit before the safety car came into the pit lane, is my understanding. I mean, Perez needs to get through Russell ASAP. Perez really, I think we might see Perez have another go into turn 4. The Red Bull with DRS on should have a massive top speed advantage over the Mercedes, but Russell also has DRS on Hamilton. So Hamilton is pulling Russell along deliberately, and Russell's goal is to stay just close enough to Hamilton. So Verstappen is checked out from Norris, holding the gap at about 2.2 now, up from 1.62 laps ago. So, yeah. Very unlucky for them, Shadow. Yeah, I agree. Who would have picked the Mercedes to be the rolling roadblock here? Not me. I mean, Checo's still having looks in turn 6, 7, 8, or more 8, 9, 10 rather. Yeah, Verstappen saw Norris getting wheel to wheel, and he's like, right, I'm out. Signs anonymous. Yep. I was not expecting much from the Ferraris. Hamilton looks like he flat spotted his front tire on the race restart, and he's struggling to put pace on. I'm surprised Alonso's pace right now. Russell maybe lost DRS to Hamilton that lap. On board with Bottas. He's got Hulkenberg. Mediocre. Skill issue? Yeah, exactly. So, if you were subscribed to the Buy Me a Coffee, not even a member, if you just subscribed to the buymeacoffee.com/break, you would have seen the discussion yesterday comparing Max to Norris in turns 6, 7. GP telling Max, Lando's pushing a lot more in turns 6 and 7. You gain it all back in 8, 9, 10. Perez having a look, but no. If you want to see what that looks like, check out, just go to break.com. And go to posts, and you'll see that on the sprint race analysis. Russell becomes wide. Scoof, what's up, homie? Hamilton getting D rates. So if Hamilton's getting D rates, that means he's deploying battery to try and pull away from Russell. Because Hamilton's managing, so that he's going to be happy with a P4. So one of the things is, here's the idea about energy deployment. The fastest way to go from the start to the end of the race is to start with a slightly full battery and slowly drain the battery throughout the entire race until it's empty. That's the fastest way. But let's say that you need to deploy and spend all the battery capacity that you have over 3 laps. That will gain you, let's say, a tenth a lap. But in order to recharge it, so we said you'll gain a tenth a lap for 3 laps, right? But in order to recharge the battery on the subsequent laps, you'll lose half a second. So it's always not efficient to spend battery more than sustainable. Perez coming through on Russell into turn 1. Russell left the door open a little bit, it looks like, but I don't know if he had a choice. Perez, let's see if Russell can come back. Russell will have DRS into 4. Let's see if Perez has got this one locked down. So Perez defending the inside line. Russell is ahead, but he keeps wide. Perez slots back in. Russell almost has a little sniff of that gearbox tailpipe. He's like, what's that? Well played by Checo, but yeah, Russell was just so much speed coming out of turn 3. But I mean, realistically, Hamilton should have tried to keep Russell in, but at the same time, Russell was probably losing more pace than Hamilton was comfortable with saving, because Russell was under pressure from Perez. So Russell will have been losing lap time because Perez was putting him under pressure. I'm not sure that's Hamilton's responsibility, but Perez is now closing on Hamilton. Curious to hear your thoughts on Checo keeping his seat next season. Honestly, if he can keep up the qualifying performance from the last 2 weeks, good enough. Esteban's pit off of a soft after 15 laps. Not a good day for that one. Yaz, what's up, dude? Watching the replay, the Checo overtake on Russell. He just yeets it up the inside. Yeah. Yeah, I'm reckoning it's soft, medium, soft. Yeah, I mean, Tsunoda's up 6, Bottas is up 7, Zhou's up 8, Sargent's up 6, Piastri lost out, lap down 7, Perez up 4, Stroll's fallen off, But Stroll is holding on to Russell. Perez will be striking distance next lap on Hamilton. Perez should have DRS on Hamilton this lap coming. Russell is so black and white sometimes, and it's like, they're like, you need to do this in order to make the stint happen. It's like, do you want me to go slower? It's like, well, kind of, you need to go slower. I get it, though. I understand that dialogue and that feedback, but... Another lame username? Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm probably not the best commentator, but usually when I can get my thoughts together, hopefully they add some value to your watching experience, man. Yeah, I understand. I totally understand Russell's thing. So he's saying management 11. I reckon they're talking about using up too much rear tire on traction. We'll look at the data. What were we on? Lap 17, Russell rear tires. What do you think Checo always improves by the end of the season? Honestly, I have no idea. Stroll talking about pitting early. Alonso talking about going longer. Alonso's saying, don't let me save anything on these tires. Let me burn up as much as I can. Perez passed Hamilton into turn 1. Pretty job done there. I think Hamilton might have a chance to come back, but if Hamilton still has a flat spotted front left, I don't see him taking much risks onto the brakes into turn 4. He's going to have a look, but it'll be the same as Russell. I mean, this is Hamilton. Hamilton should get slaughtered through this segment compared to Checo. And cut to the crowd. Exactly. Absolute shambolic. Hamilton's in the pits. He's got to get off those bags. New ones. Max told to pick up the pace. Checo given torque 10. That's probably a engine braking map. Let's see what Max's messages say. The front left was still scuffed, yeah. So let's look at the front. Hamilton, I haven't even checked pit loss. Lando, whenever Lando talks to this race engineer, he's always super snappy. Pit lost 21 seconds. Okay. Good comms. Russell in. So let's see where Russell comes out relative to Hamilton. Or just slots in behind him. What's that, 2 seconds behind? Mercedes, third fastest Mercedes-powered team today. So 1.1 second gap. So now Russell, I mean, they're bringing in these mediums. They're not going to want to push the mediums too hard straight away. But, front left starting to steer right. It looks like he's either got a loose tire, which would be a different manifestation, but maybe his track rod has got a bit of an issue. But toe usually sorts itself out. Perez is boxing now. So Perez covering the Mercedes. Will he cover Hamilton? It looks like just covering Hamilton. .2 for Perez, I believe. Perez slots in. Okay, good job, TV director, not showing us where Perez pits out. Absolutely useless. Perez slots in just behind Hamilton. Hi, Cap, dude. Thank you for the Prime sub, man. I appreciate that. And you think crowd shots this race? Karting, yeah, we've had a couple, bro. All right, so Perez to Hamilton, half a second. He's coming through. Checo is wondering, like, Checo's like, why didn't we do our race? Why did we follow them when they covered and came out just behind him? But if they were doing the race and it was going to make sense, they should have covered. So Perez stops after 23 laps. That's about what the soft needed to do. So they basically did let Perez get undercut, I believe. I could be wrong. Stroll pitting now. Why does Lando have different... I'm not sure why Lando has a different race engineer. Perez having a look outside of turn one. Are we going to see some shenaniganry? Lewis is holding it. Checo tries to turn back. Checo knows he's going to have a shot at turn four, so... Is he going to do it? Outside? He flies past him. Show retired? Interesting. I honestly, I don't know. So Perez has now pulled a second on Hamilton. That's done. Perez is biding his time. Tsunoda is currently closing up on Gasly. Tsunoda on 3-lap newer soft tires than Gasly. Engine problem for Zhou. Max says to GP, the medium does not look particularly flash. The medium does not look particularly flattering, is what GP is saying. I really wish I had a lap time series chart to look at the tire pace live. So right now, Perez is doing a 16.3 on a new medium, and Verstappen is doing a 16.3 on a 25-lap-old soft. So, yeah. Nobody particularly looking strong on the medium. Hamilton doing a 117.7 last lap on his medium. That was when he got overtaken. So let's see. Russell doing 17 flat on a medium. Yeah. The medium does not look like a particularly fast tire. I think the boxes on the belt are probably radio, Eric. Yeah, I think so. Why aren't they showing us Max? Because he's 4 seconds ahead of Lando, just chilling. I don't really need to see what Max is doing, honestly. He's keeping his head down, bruh. All right, we're on board with Lance Stroll right now. 1.75 to Hamilton. Is he just driving past him? So he just drove past Russell, sorry. Did Stroll just drive past Russell? What has Mercedes done? Too much wing? I don't know if it's that. Alonso could stop 2.8. He should come out. Let's see what he comes out in front of Hamilton. Quite a bit of brake dust going on there on that pit stop. That is true. So, yeah, I think they just told him to let Yuki through. Alpha Tower just told him to let Yuki through. Signs his pit. Ooh, nice side-by-side release there. So, if anyone is watching the Formula One race, Lance Stroll just overtook Lewis Hamilton. Fucking useless. Absolutely useless. Sorry. I'm so annoyed by that, though. This is supposed to be the pinnacle of motorsport engineering, the most expensive sport to go watch. It's a great billions and millions of zillions of dollars on this, and the TV race director cannot even follow the race that's happening. I'm looking at the race gaps right now, and it's like, why would you not show that? We've got Russell right up Hamilton's gearbox. We don't want to see that either. Okay, fine. We can watch Hamilton and Norris exit the pits. That's great. Can we start like a right, so Verstappen Norris gap after the stop, 5 seconds. Let's keep a pin on that. Mediums on mediums. Let's see. Max's fastest lap on a soft was a 15.5. That was quite an age ago with quite a bit more fuel on board. Hamilton rear left is in. Hamilton has some. No, hard to say. Okay, the rear left. It's hard to tell. I can't tell with this TV quality. I mean, Russell's very close. Merc fight? Yeah, exactly. What's the weight difference from the start to end of the race in terms of car weight? About somewhere between 105 and 110 kilograms of fuel, basically. Tires could lose a couple 100 grams. Perez is doing 15.6s on 8-lap-old mediums, so maybe they had a little bit of a warm-up window. Is Lewis washed? No. No, Lewis is not washed. I don't think it's a terrible car. I think they've had some interesting setup changes, or interesting setup direction that just hasn't panned out here. Like we saw Red Bull nowhere here last year. Thoughts on bringing back refueling to lighten the cars? No. Refueling lightens the cars at the start, but it's like if you took the end of the races and stacked them together, those wouldn't make good racing. All you do with refueling is you fix stint lengths. So you remove the opportunity to do one stop on most cars. Does DRS stand for director really sucks? Yeah. It should. I mean, so Russell's putting pressure on Hamilton, 7/10. Perez 2.28 to Alonso. And Verstappen's holding Norris at bay. Verstappen doing basically 2/10 slower than his fastest lap on the soft on this medium. So despite the medium not being great, it's not terrible compared to a managed soft in terms of lap time. As far as how good it is to drive, I'm not sure. The bottom line, refueling does not make Formula One better. Three customer cars in front of you? Yeah. Norris, Mercedes powered. Alonso, Mercedes powered. Hamilton, and P6. That's not a good day for them at all. Nope. My Stroll's cooking right now as well. I think Alonso's cruising, man. So, I mean, if we want to talk about strategies, everybody's on the medium right now. The soft tire... I've got another note for Multiveer. Multiveer needs not only stint... Multiveer race... The laps in stint, and rather than tire age, is more important than tire age for most times, but you actually need both. Alfa Romeo out of the points. Stroll as well. Both. I'm sorry. Stroll as well is ahead of. Of course. Is Stroll matching Perez lap times? 2/10 off. He's not closing on him. Stroll's at 5 seconds. Perez is... I mean, we're going to have Perez on Alonso in a couple of laps. Russell does need to fucking just send it, honestly. And Perez Alonso, we're not ready to see that yet. It's not close enough. Is Sainz going to catch Russell now? I can't say I disagree with George. Sat there burning up tires. Breaking AWS. I mean, honestly, I don't think they use AWS very much or very well. And, yeah. I don't know if it's, I think they could do a lot more insight and a lot more value to the broadcast with AWS. But, yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of that's not even AWS. It's just like I pulled two numbers out. Hulkenberg's been given 0.5% brake balance forwards. Paid for it? Yeah, exactly. Perez 1.4 to Alonso. I mean, it shows he's closing slightly, but it's not much. Send your CV. I'm thinking I might. Sainz 3/10 to Russell. And Sainz is going to get his lunch eaten up, and then Sainz is going to burn up his tires into a wall or something. Send your CV to Sky Sports. I might have. My race day meal when I was at the track would usually be chicken salad and a small sandwich. Depending on how hot it was. And if I was super chilled out day, I would have a sit down lunch. Sainz is not close enough to have a look into turn 4 yet. But Russell has lost the gap to Hamilton. Do you like the drink Red Bull? Yes, I do like the drink Red Bull. Hamilton is on 15 lap old mediums and he's starting to struggle with the tires. I think that message he probably could have said at the start of the stint as well. The yellow Red Bull is goated, center punch. Agreed. 100% agreed. Watermelon. I had watermelon Red Bull margaritas at Austin. Sainz straight through on Russell. Russell sitting duck with a draggy Mercedes. I mean, too much rear wing on the car is probably a fair statement. I know I was like, I'm not really sure, but yeah. Can Gasly catch them? Yeah, Gasly's closing on Russell at this rate. So Sainz is going to slide past Hamilton now as well. Colin, I think Gasly could catch them possibly. And not to say I'm not trying to be negative, but Mercedes have definitely got something wrong this weekend, because if you've got an Alpine chasing you, would too much wing cause more or less tire drag? It depends on the car balance. There's no one-to-one for that question. Anybody that makes a statement that more or less free wing causes more or less tire drag, you can assume that anything else they tell you is nonsense. Categorically. Like, yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. Could it be the good performance from the Mercedes is more luck than skill? No. I think Mercedes know what they're doing, and Mercedes have basically held on to the development rate of the cars at the front, and sometimes you get it wrong. I mean, let's rewind. Let's not have too much recency bias, but let's rewind to Singapore. Red Bull absolutely crapped the bed in Singapore. I mean, they were okay in the race, but you know, they do get it, and this is one of those weekends where Mercedes has got it wrong. Tsunoda back into P10. Not knowing anything about the balance is wild how much the Merc setup impacts the race. That's fair, but that's true for everybody. Absolute statements are a pain for engineers, I agree. Yeah, it always depends. Wait, who's tried the one-stop, Grim? Paris is still... I mean, Multiviewer says he's closing, but... very slow closing the gap. You reckon they tried it? There's no way they've tried a one-stop. There's no way they were even thinking about it. Yep, sign straight through on Hamilton. I mean, Ferrari at the upper end of the speed traps this weekend. Let's check my qualifying notes real quick, just because. But yeah, Sainz is gonna. Hamilton's struggling with his rears. Traction will be poor. That makes them a sitting duck down to turn 1. I mean, Ferrari, similar to Red Bull in terms of top speed. The Mercedes just at the bottom of the speed traps. Mercedes downright absolute slowest DRS on, so. All right, Mercedes does have too much drag, but they didn't think if they took drag off, they would go faster overall. Verstappen fastest lap on lap 10 of this stint with a 1:14.68. Gasly 2.1 to Russell now. Need a safety car for Ricardo? Yes, you do. I mean, Checo's stopped 5 laps earlier than Alonso. He is currently about half a tenth a lap slower than Alonso, holding on to him, but holding the gap at 1.4 to 1.6. Stroll's not making any moves. The only other gap I see closing on the track is Gasly to Russell. Verstappen says he wants 2 to 3 more clicks of front wing for the next stop. When the drivers tell the engineers about front wing clicks, so more clicks will give you more front end, what the driver will do is, what I know Red Bull do is, Max will tell the engineer, he's like, I could use on this same tire, I could use 2 to 3 more clicks. So if the soft tire relative to the medium tire already needs 5 clicks, let's say, they'll get 7 to 8 clicks instead. Does that make sense? Perez down to 1.7. We get destroyed. Even Gasly will cross George. Yeah, I think so. 1.8 to Gasly to Russell. Yeah, so if Max goes on to the soft might want, 5 clicks more or 4 clicks more. So he'll add that on top of that. Could the clicks as well be the balance forward as the fuel is burned? But Max is just telling GP what he feels with the balance right now, with an understanding of what you need at the start and into that stint. And if it goes super massively and changes with the conditions or the wind conditions, they will change that. Max will give him an update again. Bonner to Hamilton, we could start to use the tires. I don't know about that, mate. Russell's been told we're happy to push traction a bit more while managing this PU temperature. So potentially with Mercedes being quite draggy, they've gone aggressive on the engine cooling, which reduces drag a bit. Bottas is pitting. Bottas has retired the car. Ferrari engines. Piastri got tagged on the race start, and he's been a lap down. Imagine Audi doesn't show up and they leave all of these teams running Ferrari power units. Why is Oscar struggling? Well, I know the last race he was had car damage. So somebody was saying, a message to Russell says, the D rates should be decreasing from this lap. PU temperature is looking better now. The sustained overtake usage that's hurting us. So possibly he was using lots of overtake, and maybe the ERS was over temperature, causing further D rates. Not sure. Gasly 0.6 to Russell. And it's a good thing that the TV director is showing us Gasly on Russell. Gasly, in terms of top speed, is one of the fastest cars on the track by several kilometers an hour with DRS on. I do not see this going very well for King George. You know what I'm saying? As long as Gasly can get a good drive out of the final corner. Gasly struggles a little bit with traction, having less downforce than Russell. Russell pulls a little bit of a gap, but yeah, it's coming. It's inevitable. Race direction is bad. Uncle Elias, no, it adds mystery. What the hell? Alpine have been sandbagging all season waiting for Brazil. Mercedes are about 0.4 of a second slower in the third sector. Oh. What's Gasly said on the radio? Has Gasly said anything cute? Nope. Sock 6 was his last message to Gasly. That's told him engine deployment. Logan, rears are struggling. And Alonso's told he can extend the stint a little bit. They're happy with the tires. He's on lap 21 of this tire set. I wonder what Alonso's doing, because Perez is struggling to close the gap. He's 5 lap older tires. Chris, Alonso's race engineer, telling him to spend it. So let's watch the gap. Perez gap to Alonso right now, 2.7. If that increases, Alonso's got plenty in the tank. If they have a good stop, Alonso will be able to make the stop, and Perez will not be able to undercut him. Scar, which one are you talking about? Yeah, Perez is not having a good time. Perez, almost a 3-second gap to Alonso now. Alonso is indeed pulling. Hellfish, good comms, bro. Max is pulling a gap to Norris as well. I mean, Alonso's going for the podium. Problem with the brakes for Gasly. Gasly, 4 seconds to Hamilton. 1:17.0. Hard to see what's going on at this point. So Perez is losing time to Alonso because it looks like Perez is pushing flat out, and Alonso has been told that you can spin the tires. So if you checked out break.com and went to the sprint race analysis that I put out this morning, if you looked at Verstappen versus Perez, basically, long story short, Verstappen is faster, 6.7, and then Max is really insanely strong compared to everybody in turn 8 to turn 10. So that sector 2 bit. I think that's the exact same story today. Honestly, like, I feel like Max has just really, really got turn 8 to turn 10 nailed, and Checo's not going to be hang on to that, honestly. I'll look at that as well later, but if you haven't, check out break.com, and I will be publishing the race and qualifying reports. Go to members only, but often on sprint weekends, I'll do sprint shootout and I'll do the sprint race analyses for everybody. And there's lots of free articles there. We've got Russell in the pit lane. "25 laps on a soft at the end. Should be all right." Russell's got 3-lap old, lightly used softs going on. Why is Mercedes so bad at pit stops? I don't know. Hamilton has been told to use the tires, and he says, "I have been for the last 5 laps, dude." I think that was probably pretty clear, but the message to Hamilton, nonetheless, important. Perez has stopped. Now, if he can have an absolute banger of an outlap and push these softs like hell, he could do Alonso, but Alonso has over 3 seconds in hand. 24 laps of the softs will be fine. The only thing Perez has to do now is get the perfect balance of using the softs on the out and first couple laps without absolutely smoking them. Alonso could have a lap margin. Like, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see Alonso in this lap. Alonso on the GPS is rounding the final corner now. Is he in the pit lane or not? Could the mediums make it to the end? No, they're too slow. The soft will be faster. You'll make up the time on a new soft or a lightly used soft. Alonso's in the pit lane now. Have to cover Checo? Yeah. They've built up the margin. Now they cover. Now, if Checo... I feel like Checo's not usually super strong at nailing out critical out laps, but let's see. Let's see where he comes out. Perez coming through turn 2. Alonso exiting the pit lane on the main straight down to turn 4. Let's check the gap between them now. Perez is going to fly past Tsunoda. I'm a little bit behind, or a little bit ahead on my GPS, unfortunately. Dude! TV director! Should have gone to the hard tire, says Lewis. I didn't expect to hear that. Maybe he should check the ride heights real quick. Maybe he can do that. Maybe he said no. The hard would be a disaster. The medium was dog shit as well. Gasly, fastest lap of the race right now, currently in P9. I think Verstappen and Norris will have a look at it later. Karun's comments about Alonso's awareness is insane. Honestly, insane. $14.5 is quick. Yeah, Gasly, Alcon's let him through. Gasly's coming through on Hamilton again. No sweat whatsoever. Do you have any idea why Tsunoda hasn't pit yet? He's only on 22 laps old. With a 14 lap stop, he will come out, or 14 second stop, he will come out. Sorry, 22 second stop. He'll come out behind Russell ish. I'm not really sure. I need to look at the race afterwards. Sorry, I was twisting my words quite a bit there. Yeah, Alpine coming straight. I'm surprised the Alpine are fast, but it's more the Merc are slow. Signs will stop again. Signs will come out near Gasly right now. Hamilton says he's in Gasly's DRS and he's not even crossing him. Stroll's at 34, 58. Stroll will come out behind Tsunoda right now. Right. Well, I've just lost. Right, Perez 1.4 to Alonso. Are we going to see this soon or not? Drunky's mom, what's up? Danny Rick has been consistently better than Yuki on race pace now. Has he? I'm not paying attention. Ricardo currently 116s. Tsunoda 116 flat. Same. I think similar. I haven't looked, but that's just the last lap, so I could be completely wrong. Two to 4 tenths up. It's possible. Perez 1 second. Perez on the soft looking okay. Russell's getting lapped. Oh no. Russell's about to get lapped by Verstappen. So Perez, is he going to get the DRS? No. Next, maybe turn 4 he'll have DRS, but not quite here. Perez was strong through 1, 2, 3 yesterday. Perez's weak sectors were 6 to 10. Or 7 to 10, really. 4.3 for Stroll. Oof. Gasly thinks his DRS is broken? Oof. He will get unlapped when Max pits, yeah. Perez will have a look at turn 1 this lap, I believe. Verstappen and Norris have fresh softs left. Yes, they haven't used their new soft. They've saved it for the final stint of the race. So, positioning in the box is okay. Hard to tell what happened with Stroll's stop there. So DRS is open on Alonso now. And he's close enough that he'll get the advantage of the toe without losing too much grip through here. Bird just landing on... That bird has... Wow. Those birds around that track are so ballsy, though. Oh, a bird. $17 laps to go. Piastri on a used soft. DRS on the main straight? No. Alonso is much faster in Sector 2. Checo was not particularly strong there yesterday, so... Ocon, fastest lap of the race, currently purple. What impact does a bird have on a soft versus a medium tire? I could not tell you that, sir. So Alonso did put on a new set, and Perez's set is 4 laps older, but I don't feel like... I mean, I don't know. I mean, Verstappen's 45 seconds ahead of Perez. Perez is close. Alonso super, super deep into turn 10 there. But Perez didn't seem to... Yeah, Alonso missing the apex by 2 country miles. But Perez is like, he's pushing too much on the entries. Alonso's completely missing the apexes. And Perez is just like... Yeah, I think Checo's over pushing the entries. That's a very normal Checo thing when he's pushing super hard. Verstappen pits. I mean, he had 5 seconds clear on Norris. Norris run to the flag on mediums? No, because Max will overtake him. I mean, to be fair, though, that the medium's only doing a 15.7, but for example, Alonso's doing 1 second a lap faster than him. So Verstappen is 12 seconds behind him. Let's say Verstappen matches his pace. Verstappen laps Norris. Or Verstappen overtakes Norris if Norris stays out. Easy. They're not risking a safety car. They're taking P2. There's no way. But yeah, if there's a safety car, Norris does well. But I mean, let's look at gaps on the track. There's nobody really within a 1 second gap on the track other than Perez on Alonso. So if Perez Alonso goes sour or south or tits up, whatever you want to call it, we could maybe talk then. Piastri lap down coming up on Norris. They're going to hold him to hold tight. Piastri to Bennett for Lando now? Hey. I mean, let's just look at Max's first lap. Max's first lap will be something like a 15 flat or faster. Wouldn't be surprised. If he's easing it in, it'll be slower than that. But I think Max's lap time potential is definitely low 14s if he wanted it. Very low 14s. Norris has a gap to Alonso, so he doesn't have to stop. Russell dropping back? I missed that. That was happening. Yeah, that's Mercedes retiring. So maybe they've got some debris or something overheating the Merc. But, yeah. Perez 0.5 on Alonso right now. Yeah, Verstappen 14 flat, nearly 2 seconds a lap faster. Verstappen will overtake Norris in 5 laps. Do you listen to commentary while watching the race? I have it turned down really low, just so I can hear anything interesting that comes up. I usually don't miss too much, but it does help, honestly, just having like that, like them talking about certain things in the background. Why would Norris and McLaren risk this? They're not risking anything. Their race is Alonso. They've pit now. Okay, stop for Norris. 2.5. DRS on the Aston Martin is similar to the Red Bull. Mercedes is the slowest. Why is Mercedes so bad this weekend? That is a great question. I wish I had the answer. Oh! Alonso with a little wiggle. Alonso, was that a wiggle? Aggressive. So if you guys are watching on the YouTube stream, if you haven't clicked the thumbs up and you're having a good time, hit the thumbs up button. If you're just scrolling through, subscribe to the channel. If you're on Twitch and you're just scrolling through and you haven't followed on Twitch, click the follow button. And we'll see you for a podcast tomorrow on Engine Braking. It's a different channel. And yeah, maybe a video this week. Who knows? Kyle, thanks for the follow, man. Maybe I'm so confused by the Perez versus Alonso line at turn 12. I mean, this is Checo's got pace in hand. He's just gonna have to be very careful. Big DRS already open. Perez. Still a long way back. Other gaps we're looking at on track. Nobody really in striking distance. This is the battle right now. It's Perez, Alonso. 10 laps to go. You heard Norris switch to full power? Not sure. Max power. What's fast lap? Not sure. Go on, Perez. Have a look. Have a look, mate. Just... What's going on, man? Lando with a 112.4? Okay, here's something I really hate. A battery level. Please don't show us those graphics. They have no context. Nobody knows what the fuck they're meaning. Data without context is magic. Like that graphic makes no sense. How long will GP be able to keep Max in the dark about Lando's fastest lap? That is a very one. That is a very good question. You just don't get AI. I don't get AI. And most of the people that are trying to use AI in Formula One don't understand what they're doing. Can you provide any context to the battery level graphic? And this is the thing that you need to understand. And they've tried to do it with deploying or neutral as like spending or saving. What you need to look at is the battery level over the last 3 or 4 laps, honestly, to understand what's really happening and understand where they're deploying energy. Like, then you could tell what they're doing. But that graphic there is completely useless, unfortunately. What they're trying to convey, I even forgot the context. I think Alonso's probably doing a defensive deployment pattern. So that he has more energy deployment down to turn 1, but he'll be cutting energy into like turn 5 or something. So you can't really overtake into 5, 6. I mean, this is the Perez Alonso race is it. We've got 8 laps to go. I think they were conveying that Perez was harvesting to attack later. I don't think that's what it was trying to say. I think Alonso could defend until the end. I think he could. Alonso podium again? That wasn't on my bingo card. Teams have their own MGUKs. Norris catching Max? I think Max is chilling, but he is closing at somewhat right now. Max is on a personal best, a 19.1 sector 1. 2 tenths slower nearly than Lando's sector 1. No, it's not even a personal best. Yeah, Max will go for it later for sure. Alonso defending like a lion. Checo P3? I don't know. Alonso's not going to give up that podium, honestly. Is Red Bull coaching Perez about the last corner? Probably, yes. Message the AI transcription. So if everything goes all right, I think I'll be able to get out of the way. That doesn't make any sense. I'm looking for Perez radio messages. One sec. Nope. They're asking Paris to focus on the exit of turn 12. You mean like that thing I tweeted about earlier? Just kidding. It's not that deep. Do you think Las Vegas is going to be a shit show? I'm being cynical, but I maybe don't even want to watch it. You don't talk? I do talk quite a bit. I've been talking nonstop. I'm losing my voice completely. Just kind of observing. Realistically, right now, we've got Perez. Alonso is the battle. There should be no further stops. We're just kind of waiting to see what happens here. 5 laps to go. Vegas was a shit show during TwitchCon. I'm not too crazy about TwitchCon. Max1376. He's got another fastest lap in the bag now. He's trying again. He's just easing into it. $13.53, another personal best. So Perez 258 points, Hamilton 226 if they finish this order. So yeah, a reasonable gap. No change in position. Alonso and Norris, if they finish in this order, will gain a position in the the drivers' championship. Sainz drops 2 places. Two more races. Vegas and Abu Dhabi. Hamilton won't catch Perez, no. What's McLaren thinking? James Key's car is working so well. I don't know. I don't know anything about James Key. I can't say. Come on, Perez. He was way different in his messages versus GP. Yeah. That disqualification hurt Merck a lot, yeah. If you ask Lewis, it didn't make any difference. If you ask Toto and James Allison, they disagree. Alonso's got some racecraft, bro. Are you going to be in Vegas? I don't think so. I can't afford to go on my own, so unless somebody wants to pay my way out there to do some work, I don't really have any interest in going to Vegas for a holiday, honestly. If there was a job to do, I'd go, but... Is Verstappen going to try on the final lap? I mean, he keeps setting personal bests, 3 personal bests in a row. Perez is always... Yeah, exactly, Shadow. Exactly. Sainz cannot downshift. Understood is the only reply. What's Sainz last lap? A 14.9? This sector 1 is a 19.1. He's going okay so far. 19.1 sector 1 is not downshifting. Let's see sector 2. Sign sector 2, we're checking. Sign sector 338.3. Is Checo getting close now? He's gonna have a look. He better have a fucking look. We're up the inside, Checo. There's no way. Like, Alonso can maybe come back at him at turn 4, though. Alonso can maybe come back at him at turn 4, though. So don't. It's not over. Look at that. Alonso's coming back. Alonso's gonna fight him like a... I mean... Alonso's not... I think Alonso might have a go at him. I don't think Perez is going to be that much faster. If Alonso's in his gearbox coming up to turn 12, yeah, he's gonna go again. Final lap. I think Alonso might be able to do it. Alonso might be able to do this. Not that I want him to, but he's okay. Struggling a little bit in the dirty air. Can he close this up in turn 12? Because Perez has been dog shit at turn 12. Alonso a better drive out of turn 12 than Perez has been getting, but I don't think it's good enough. Not good enough. No. Maybe turn 4? Bets on them cutting away? For sure. There's no other races on the track. They're going to show Verstappen cross the line. Right. One more look up at turn 4. Going the long way around, but he gets ahead of him. Oh my God, they're wheel to wheel. The front wheel is so close. Alonso's ahead. Alonso's pulling a gap into turn 6. Checo's got one chance left. Fully nail this into turn 12. Get up his gearbox. Full send. Alonso. Wow. All right. We don't need to see them right now. But, all right. Now show me turn 12, please. Who gives a shit about this part? Max, love you. Fuck off, mate. Lando Norris, also fuck off, mate. Nobody needs to see this. Now we've got Perez up the gearbox. Here we go. Thank you, TV director. Is he close enough? Is he close enough? He's closer to turn 12. He's so close. I don't think he's close enough. He's not close enough, is he? Oh! Did he do it? Alonso got it. 0.05 of a second. I mean, that was a great race. I think Checo should have got that job done sooner, but go on, Alonso and that Aston Martin, after they've been kicked in the nuts for the second half of the season, Alonso moves up into P4. Norris moves up into P5 in the Constructors' Championship. They both overtake Carlos Sainz. Stroll overtakes Gasly in the Drivers' Championship as well. Max Verstappen is leading the Constructors' Championship still. What a drive. Mercedes, the second slowest Mercedes-powered car on the grid. No? Is that right? So, Tsunoda P9. What does he do in the Drivers' Championship? He's sold off at P14. 2 points. Hamilton P8. What a race. What rules are Ricciardo talking about? Ricciardo's talking about the pit stop rules, which is why he's a lap down. It sucks. Ricciardo did all right. We'll check the lap times. And guys, if you want to know what happened in this race and you want to look back through it with quite a bit more clarity, do be sure to check out buymeacoffee.com/break. If you're on YouTube, there's a link in the description. If you're on Twitch, there's a link in the chat right now. This week, I think I will have Engine Braking Podcast tomorrow. I will have the Buy Me a Coffee article out tomorrow afternoon, hopefully. And then I think we'll take a little break this weekend. Maybe a YouTube video this week. I'm not sure what I've got, but yeah. The last 2 laps were great. The TV direction was absolutely abysmal, but we've got ourselves, you guys on chat, were so on top of everything that was happening, keeping me in the loop. I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. If you haven't hit that like button on the YouTube stream, do it. Also, Space Cadet, thank you for the Prime sub, man. The next race is in 2 weeks' time in Las Vegas. I think that was a record Twitch stream. I think we're holding 500 concurrent between YouTube and Twitch. So appreciate you guys. Honestly, you guys are superstars. Thank you for all of the interesting conversations. Thank you for keeping it polite. Thank you for keeping it fun. You guys make watching the races very enjoyable because you guys ask great questions. You have great observations, a lot of stuff that I've missed. And I couldn't think of a better way to spend watching this race. Maybe at the track with a cold beer. That would be cool, as long as I had multi-viewer for F1. But yeah, so I've got some dinner downstairs. I'm going to get out of here. If you're on Twitch, hang tight. I'm going to send you guys over to someone else. If you're on YouTube, you guys, thank you for all the love today. I will see you this week for some more content. If you're not following me, just drop me a follow on Twitter and Instagram, and that's how you'll know when the rest of the Formula One content is coming out. That's all I want to share, is Formula One content analysis and a little bit of shithousing. Andrew, maybe next time? Yeah, maybe, bro. So, multi-viewer, appreciate you, bro. You're the freaking best. If you're not using multi-viewer for F1 to watch Formula One, you are watching Formula One wrong. I'm sorry. That's it. All right? Space Cadet, thank you for the prime and the follow. YouTube, you guys have a great night. I will see you soon.